Imagine that you are a high school student who at the end of the year confesses to the girl he likes. He likes you too, but he doesn't want to go out with you and rejects you, but you don't give up since you tried 99 times before. Ritaro got rejected. His friend asks about rejections. Tomorrow, they won't meet again. He talks to his friend and tells him he looks terrible, asking how many rejections he's had. Doesn't he see that he's really down? How can he even ask that? But that's because starting tomorrow, they won't see each other again. The main character calls this his 100th confession. His first confession was at 8 months old, and he was rejected. He just wants a girlfriend to hold hands with and spend winter together. He confessed and was rejected. He wants a girlfriend to hold hands with and doesn't understand why he gets rejected. All he really wants is to have a girlfriend to hold her hand, say sweet things to her, and spend the winter together. He just doesn't understand why he always gets rejected. He's not that ugly, and he's smart and sociable. Maybe it's because the animation looks like crap, but he says goodbye, wishing our main character good luck. Ritaro heads to a temple and prays to find a girlfriend when he enters high school. From the bottom of the mailbox, a voice is heard and a head pops out. The main character thinks it's a thief stealing offerings, but it's actually a god, wings and all. This one tells him not to worry. The stars say that he will meet his destined girl. Ritaro wonders if it means a girl who looks good, but it actually refers to his soulmate, the person assigned to him at birth, his ideal romantic partner. When two soulmates meet, their bodies feel electricity, and they fall in love instantly. It's what many call love at first sight. Although only women know exactly when it happens, men take a while to be sure. Ritaro just repeats what the god says, who mocks him, saying there's no time or budget to animate a more detailed explanation. But soulmates meet at a precise moment. Not everyone finds their soulmate, and those who do are really lucky. The main character asks if he will meet his soulmate in high school, and the god tells him yes, he will meet her. A total of 100 girls who are destined for him. He has plenty to choose from, and if he's lying, he'll burn the whole temple down. A month later, at Nectar High School, our main character attends the entrance ceremony and heads to his classroom when suddenly he bumps into two girls, and upon seeing them, he can feel everything. His body radiates a huge amount of electricity, and from deep within, he connects with both gazes. The main character feels something strange around his body and wonders if it's because the two girls are his soulmate. He doesn't look directly at them, so he doesn't come off as a weirdo, and when he asks if they're okay. Apparently, the girl with pink hair twisted her ankle and wants someone to take her to the nurse's office. The protagonist apologizes for hurting her and starts crying, which the girl loves. The main character tries to help, but the girls trick him. The main character starts punching himself in the face for hurting his soulmate, and the girls get up to check if he's okay. When the main character sees them, they pretend to be hurt again, and he helps both of them walk to the nurse's office. They're fighting to see who can cling to the main character more, and Ritaro can't believe it. He's so lucky. Then, the pink-haired girl introduces herself. Her name is Hanazono, and the orange-haired girl is named Inda. The three of them belong to class 4. A couple of girls walk by chatting that if you find a 4-leaf clover when you confess your feelings, they'll definitely say yes, and the courtyard is full of them. Immediately, both girls leave, and the main character goes to class, where he spends 4 hours helping his teacher find his contact lens. He wonders where those girls are, and when he looks out the window, he sees they're in the garden searching for 4-leaf clovers for over 4 hours. They must be doing it for him, so he decides to go help them. Ritaro approaches Inda and asks if she found the 4-leaf clover, but she shakes her head. She's not looking for any clover. She just really needed to go to the bathroom. But that sounds even worse. He asks where's Hanazono, but she probably went to the bathroom. The main character offers her a soda, but Inda gets embarrassed. Ritaro understands that it may be awkward, but she accepts his gift. He tells her that he can't go to the house, that she should go back home because it's getting late, and he doesn't even need to say it because she was already leaving. Inda thanks him, and the main character realizes she's a tsundere. She runs off, but tells him she's not grateful. At that moment, Hanazono shows up and asks, "What are you doing here?" The main character offers offers her a drink, and the pink-haired girl gets an idea. She tells him she can't drink the can alone. Ritaro bought her a smaller one. The main character takes a sip and hands her the can. Nervously, she drops it. He offers a tissue, and she takes it, confessing she likes him. So the protagonist takes a sip and pesters her. Realizing it would be an indirect kiss, the nervous girl drops the can, losing her chance for a kiss. The main character offers her a tissue, and she confesses her love, knowing she is not alone in her feelings. He's excited to respond, but Inda interrupts, denying she bought cans to thank him, and calls out Hanazono for being hasty. She knew Hanazono liked him, but he denies it. The main character is excited to give his answer, but then Inda shows up. She didn't go to buy some cans to thank him for his kindness, and she tells Hanazono for jumping the gun. She already knew Hanazono liked him, but the main character denies it. She already knew he liked her, but the main character totally denies it. But if that's what he wants, she'll do him the favor of being his girlfriend, and he also confesses his feelings. Both girls stand in front of him, waiting for his answer. He has to choose one by tonight, at home. Our main guy can't choose. He has to give an answer by tomorrow. So he heads to the temple, where he asks the god, and the god tells him that he can't choose just one. Both of them are his ideal partner. So Ritaro asks her, what should I do in these situations? But this had never happened before, since it turns out that when God was born, he made a mistake. He was watching a series and mistakenly wrote 100 soulmates instead of one. Ritaro is shocked. He put a 100 for the number of soulmates instead of a 1 because the show was just that good. Ritaro can't believe what's happening to him, but there's more. Because if a person doesn't find their soulmate, terrible things will happen to them and they'll die. That means if he chooses one as his girlfriend, the other won't survive. But anyone can make a mistake, so the main guy wonders what if he rejects both of them and then goes out with each one separately. That could be a good plan. So the next day, super early, he shows up all dirty, and both girls ask him what his decision is. Ritaro lowers his head and says he wants to date both of them. Inda says it's crazy, but his previous plan had a flaw. Both of them had the courage to confess their feelings, and he, better than anyone, knows the courage it takes to do that, so he can't just choose one. He will give absolutely everything to make them happy. At 2 o'clock it is still immoral, but the protagonist extends 2 4-leaf clovers with the help of a teacher. He had been looking for them all night and thought it would be romantic to give them to the girls since they both worked really hard to find them, and he figured they would be a little happy about it. Both of them faint from cuteness, and Haneso. She doesn't accept it. Inda can't believe it, but the pink-haired girl is very much in love and not to accept being cheated on, and Inda. He won't be left behind. Even if it goes against his principles. Both girls will date him, but this adventure is just getting started because there are still 98 other soulmates who are in love with him. Can he love them all? At the same time, Ritaro is super excited because he finally has a girlfriend, and he's telling his best friend, the Pole. When Inda and Hanazono arrive, Inda thinks it's weird that he's talking to a Pole, and our main guy says it's because he was just too happy. Well, if he wants to talk to someone, that's what his girlfriends are for. But he can't say it out loud. Hanazono approaches, comments on the nice day, and holds Rentaro's hand. He feels her soft, small, warm hand. Hanazono is thrilled by his big, strong hand, almost losing herself in happiness. Inda also joins, and he holds her hand too, but it's not out of affection. Inda seeks any chance to create static and zap him. She won't be left behind, and the main guy takes her hand, but don't think he likes it. She'll look for the slightest chance to create some static and zap him. Would she be at Sundara, like Reo? God, what a joke about me. They keep walking, and the 3 of them are thrilled so much that they overflow with love. Even if they're just talking about the weather, these kids nowadays. The main guy is talking to Hanazono, but she wants him to call her by her name, Hakari. Both of them are really red, but Inda, even if she doesn't say it, she wants that too. He calls her, contradicts himself, and our main guy gets it, Karain. Hakari wants him to repeat it and starts saying their names one by one until they get to school, where one of his classmates runs by being chased by the vice principal. She's really strict about the rules, and if she catches you running in the halls, she'll chase you down to another part of the school. She'll jump on you and stick her disgusting tongue all the way down your throat. It's an intense physical pain. The old lady used to do track and field, so no one can escape. Hakari asks Rentaro if he has ever kissed anyone, but he says no. In fact, these are his first crushes. That means the first one to do it will get their first kiss, so they'll have to compete. During lunch hour, the three of them are on the rooftop. It's a bit chilly, and Kurain gets distracted by a kitten. Hanazono made an omelet for lunch and wants to invite the main guy to try it. He gives it to him in his mouth, and it's delicious. Kurain won't be left behind and brought him some homemade cookies. She's way too embarrassed, so he closes his eyes and shoves the cookie in his left hand. The cookie is still good, but Hanazono won't give up. He has a pack of bakis, but he won't be able to pick them up with his hands without getting them dirty. He really wanted to give them to him, so he tells him to close his eyes and open his mouth, and he feeds him the candy with his mouth, and they're way too close. He slowly starts to eat from the stick, but Kurain wants some too, so she tries, but she misses her aim. The protege sneezes through one of his hairs, breaking the stick and Hanazono's chance at an unfinished kiss. He notices that his eyes are red and thinks he might be catching a cold. No problem. If you press your lips together, you'll heal, even if it's just a myth. Kurain will try, but she's run over by two big reasons from Hanazono. To avoid doing it, she's not sure if it will work, so she's going to take his temperature with his hands. In his family, they usually use hands and lips. I hope that's not a problem, but Inda is recovering and will take his temperature just with her lips. Hanazono pushes her with a strong argument, but this time it wasn't as effective. The main guy says not to fight and finally realizes that they're trying to kiss him. They try to deny it, but it's obvious. The main guy is moved because he also wants to kiss them. But there's a problem. They can't decide who will go first. If that's the problem, our main guy has a plan. He came up with it yesterday because he couldn't sleep from the excitement of having two girlfriends, so he planned a future together so that both of them would be happy. It's adorable, and the solution is simple. Everything can be solved if neither of them knows who had the first kiss. For that, both of them need to have a chance at the first kiss, and Rentaro, he shouldn't be able to recognize them. And how are they going to do that? Are you wondering? For that, they'll use players, some dice, and blindfold. Take note, please, if you also have two girlfriends, they'll first decide where to position themselves. The main guy will turn around and listen to music so he won't hear any noise. They'll have to roll the dice to pick their spot and send him a message. When they're ready, they'll roll the dice to get a number to count, and then just one die. If it's an even number, he'll start on the left, and if not, he'll go to the right, kissing them in turns. And after some time, neither of them will know if it's the first kiss, so he'll send them a message when he gets to his spot, and both of them will have to roll the dice to switch places. And so, the main guy won't know where each of them was, so he can later enjoy having kissed the person he loves. Did you all understand? Because it's not a perfect plan, basically taken from Liar Liar, but it would be really easy to cheat. Ritaro also thought about that. So they'll have to make a pinky promise. That's way too childish. But if you break the promise, something really bad would happen to you. The promise begins, and neither one. I could break it. The plan starts, and Ritaro rolls the dice. It will start on the left, but since he can't see, he'll use his hands to guide himself, coming across something very soft in his path. It's obvious it was Hakari, and the protagonist apologizes, but for Hanazono, that could mean a lot more. But this is something serious, so they tell Kurain that they will start over, and this time both of them are really blushing. In the second attempt, everything goes well until the cat, after a bit of wind, spots a ribbon to play with. Kurain doesn't see what's there, he thinks. Ritaro is a pig and hits him. He realizes it was a cat. They must redo. Even when he's lying on the floor, he takes out his hearing aid and realizes it was the cat. So they let Hakari know that they'll have to do it again, even though the protagonist looks pretty beat up. One by one now, attempts fail, always putting our protagonist in danger. At sunset, they still haven't managed to kiss. It seemed so easy in their minds, but it was clear that it just wouldn't work. Hakari tells her that it's definitely her fault. She's not accusing her, but Kurain says she knows her intentions. Hanazono too. She'll barely keep quiet every time. Ritaro tries or ends up getting hurt, and they keep arguing. The protagonist can't take it anymore. And all of this because he hasn't kissed anyone. So he heads to the hallways and shouts loudly to call the vice principal. She runs up and is really close to the protagonist. She jumps on him and is ready to deliver her punishment. They'll take the shot from behind, but the vice principal says that's against the rules. even though what she does goes against the law. Hanazono opens the window and shouts at a supposed teacher inspector to stop her. The vice principal stops struggling and lets out a scream. She pulls away because she needs to keep her job so she can spend it on men. And he attacks another student. The girlfriends are going to check if everything is okay, and our main guy tells them to love each other. She knows she's very selfish, but she wants them both to get along and not fight. And if that means wasting his first kiss, he'll take the consequences. The girls say that if he's going to waste it, it might as well be with the other one, and they're surprised by that. Rentaro doubted them, but they both care about him. It's clear. Rentaro hugs them. There's an option, a three-way kiss. On both of their faces, Rentaro jumps to hug them, and there's still an alternative. They can have a three-way kiss. That was the initial plan. The detail is that they would also kiss each other, Rentaro. He thought they wouldn't do it because they didn't get along, but what happened? He trusts both of them, takes their hands, they do the same, they look into each other's eyes, and kiss. Something very, very strange. In the library, Hakari is going to look for a cookbook because she wants to prepare better dishes for our main guy. And Karain is going to do it too, but it's not like she's doing it for the main guy. Still, they look for recipes to win him over through his stomach and argue over who will read. First, Taro says that they get along really well, so much so that they even kissed. It was just a joke, and our main guy is going to look for a book for himself. At that moment, he locks eyes with a girl and feels a jolt of electricity all over his body. He has found another girl who is also his soulmate, a princess locked away in a castle, doomed to a life of solitude. Her blue hair is recognizable, but her fate is written up to that moment. Rentaro recognizes the jolt, and did the girl feel something too? She is very scared and steps back a little. She wants the main guy to take the book, but when he tries to talk to her, she grabs her own book and points to a sentence. He has to read it to know what it means. Rentaro looks at his arm and realizes that it's the librarian. The girl communicates through the book. Is it because she's making a lot of noise? The blue fighter asks her, "What are you doing here?" And if he needs help, Rentaro stops talking and tries to communicate with gestures to tell her that he's looking for a comedy, but she looks puzzled. Why isn't he talking? It's exactly like her. But she apologizes and tells him that she's always had a hard time communicating with others. She steps back to look for someone else, but Rentaro tells her to wait. He wants her to help him and asks her to recommend an interesting work. A romantic novel with a happy ending where they overcome obstacles and get married in the end. The librarian is looking for some books. I think there are too many, and she apologizes for that. She tells him to choose the one he likes the most, but Rentaro, since he took the time to look for them, he will take everyone to read. Unfortunately, has to wait a week to get his library card. The blue girl approaches him and offers him her book. It's not from the library, so you can take it. The main guy thanks her and asks what her name is. It's Shizuka Yoshimoto, and she's in the same class as the main guy. He didn't recognize her, and before leaving, she tells him her name. Rentaro is with his other two girlfriends who are looking for cooking recipes when he finds them. Hakari is happy to see him, and Karani is too, but in her own way. The main guy is grateful to have such lovely girlfriends. And when he gets back home, he finds himself immersed in his reading. The story is about a princess and a knight, Kamakuru, who, upon being named, swears loyalty to Princess Ayo. It was the first time they met, and in the face of a dragon attacking the princess, the knight defends her with his sword and confronts the fierce creature. The princess uses her magic to heal him, and their gazes connect. Titles and royalty don't matter, only the feelings of both. But the princess has already been given in marriage and awaits her fate, when suddenly the knight, who swore him eternal loyalty, appears and lies powerless before his fate. Rentaro continues reading excitedly, looking for a happy ending, but it will continue in the second part. Tomo, left with a phrase, can he overcome his destiny? Soulmates must be together or else they perish. This applies to their story. The next day, Yoshimoto brought the second part, and Rentaro approaches her to return the first one. She looks scared, but the main guy realizes she brought a book when she hands it to him. He's very happy because he really liked the story and is thinking of something to thank her. He asks her to come with him. While his two girlfriends are figuring out what to cook for Rentaro, Karani will make cookies, but Hakari gets upset because she feels like she's stealing the spotlight. All her ideas shine, she won't be left behind, and the protagonist is happy because at least they are friends. They go to the vending machine and he buys her a coffee with milk. They step outside together to drink them and chat. He asks her if she reads a lot and she nods, telling him that she's read many novels in her life but none like this one. It's a great love story, but she suffered seeing that the characters don't end up together. Yoshimoto laughs silently nicely and tells him that she liked that part too. He has read the book many times and rented it. He realizes that he can quickly find the line he wants to say to communicate. She probably knows the book by heart, and he finds it surprising. She doesn't deserve the compliments. It's something she's done practically her whole life. Because of her personality, she could never have friends, and the books gave her company. She is very grateful, but she thinks it's better if he keeps his distance from her. The protagonist thinks for a moment and asks her to lend him the first book again. Yoshimoto agrees, and when she returns to the library, she looks very cheerful. Something good must have happened to her, but the blue movie says that she's not just doing her job and gets really nervous among the books. She sees the one she was looking for when she met Rentaro and tries to reach it, but she can't. The next day, she brought the next book to lend him, but after 3 days, he didn't show up. He feels a bit sad and listens to the love triangle. Rentaro is really tired because he works at night, and both of them think he's a pig. The protagonist yawns, and Hakari gives him a kiss on the cheek, trying to share her energy with him. Rentaro thanks her with a hug, but Karani has a lot of energy to give too, so much that she headbutts him. Yoshimoto hears all this and realizes that he has a girlfriend, which doesn't surprise her. No one has time to read like she does, who in her past also communicated with a book, and her friends thought she was a weirdo. Her mother, after slapping her, demanded that she speak like the other kids because she can't talk. She can't be normal. No one takes the time to talk to her in her own way. At that moment, Rentaro arrives and thanks her for lending him the books. He asks her if she has a phone and tells her to please download an app. It doesn't have any viruses or anything. And when he does, he sends her a PDF file telling her to open it, and Yoshimoto is surprised. It's the first volume of the book he had lent her, but in digital format, which is amazing because it hadn't been published online. The protagonist explains that he can use the app to read the lines of the book with a synthetic voice. It's impressive. She must have handwritten absolutely everything. The protagonist, she just says that before, when she talked to someone, they both had to look at the book, but with this app, she can finally look them in the eyes while they talk. He can't imagine how difficult it will be for her to communicate, and he doesn't want to force her either. But he would like to help her so she can socialize with others, and at least with the app, it will be easier for her. She tells him to try it with him, and Yoshimoto selects a phrase, "I love you." Through tears, she apologizes and tries to make him forget. He is aware that he already has a girlfriend, well, 2 girlfriends, and he just wanted to confess his feelings to her. Rentaro understands. He doesn't do it because she's his soulmate or because he has to save her life. Really, he loves her too. Even if their destiny isn't to be together and everything is against them, they will have to face it to stay united. And gives a hug with Shizuka. When he goes up to the rooftop, he introduces Shizuka to his 2 girlfriends and tells her that he fell in love. Karande tells him that he's completely crazy, but Hakari is happy that even though he found a new love, he hasn't abandoned them. I think she's also crazy, but the protagonist says that what he feels for them hasn't changed. His love is like an oil field, and Shizuka found new well, but that doesn't justify it. Rentaro says that he still loves them and will take care of them as always. No, even better than before. And if they need anything, they just have to ask for it. But if he fails his task, he will have to give up his life as a samurai. The 3 girlfriends are surprised, and he has to keep the relationship afloat because there are still many more to come. Rentaro introduces Shizuka to his other girlfriends while they have lunch. Shizuka also introduces herself, and Hakari and Karani wonder what kind of girl she will be. The librarian greets her using her phone, and for them, it seems a bit curious. In the book that our protagonist gave her, the names and details of his girlfriends also appear so she can communicate better. And he explains that Shizuka uses phrases from her book to be able to communicate, and if you didn't understand it well, you can check the summary of chapter 3. It's not me saying it, it's the protagonist who breaks the 4th wall whenever he feels like it. Shizuka uses the words from her phone and addresses them in a way that's way too formal. Rentaro also explains that she is a librarian and loves books. In fact, he likes them so much that he moves his toes depending on the emotions they cause him at the moment. She wiggles them when she's happy or scared, and for the protagonist, it's adorable, but for Shizuka, it's really embarrassing. His girlfriends do cute things. Hakari touches her lips when thinking, and sucks on it when focused. The finger seems sensual to the protagonist. Meanwhile, Karane, when embarrassed, plays with her hair. Obviously, the finger looks very sensual to the protagonist, even though pretty weird for her. On the other hand, Karane, whenever she gets embarrassed, starts playing with her hair, which is very different from her usual behavior. The 3 girlfriends are way too embarrassed and very red. And that's not all, because when they kiss, Hakari tends to press press her lips together and Karani stops breathing. Shizuka then asks if they have kissed and the protagonist says yes. To be precise, they shared a real kiss. Shizuka apologizes for reacting that way and the girlfriends ask if she wants to kiss him. But the blue-haired girl refuses, saying that it's her destiny to remain chaste until marriage. Rentaro is reassured. They'll go slow. Hakari and Karane are eager, but lunch first. They need to take it a bit slower, and he says he will only kiss her when she's ready. Hakari and Karen are ready. In fact, they could kiss her right now, but first they'll have lunch where both of them fight to feed him. Shizuka and the protagonist see all of this, and he's almost choking. They both keep fighting even after eating and want to talk to the protagonist. They're so close that they could kiss. Shizuka, on the other hand, is very quiet and doesn't get along with them. That's why Rentaro has a plan. Since new people often feel really pressured when it comes to breaking the ice, and they don't show who they really are. It's easier to trust someone who knows you just as you are. It's easier to form a friendship. So she brought a deck of cards to play Spinster. You probably don't know the game, and honestly I don't either. They didn't explain it to me, so it doesn't really matter. What really matters is that the winner has to tickle the loser. And this is done so that people can show who they really are, since you can't hold anything back. While you're laughing, it's impossible. Seriously? The main goal is to touch each other and laugh. So in the end, everyone can be friends. The girlfriends know it's their chance to touch Rentaro, and game begins. Karani lost the first round, and she can't contain her happiness. The protagonist tickles her, but Inda says she doesn't have any. She tries in several places, but she holds up pretty well. In the second round, it's Hakari's turn, who has a bit more luck. But Karani tells him to control himself. He's just going to tickle her. Rentaro tries in many places, and they manage to make Hakari feel something really strange. So much, she moves away a bit because she was about to lose it. In the third round, Shizuka lost and our protagonist wants to hear her laugh. He approaches her, and when he tickles her, she just laughs silently, and her phone says a phrase asterisk, she laughs. The girlfriends watch as both of them have fun and realize that so far, no one has tickled Rentaro, and her new goal will be to win so she can touch his whole body. But in the fourth round, the winner is Shizuka. Is Rentaro ready? While Hakari and Karen watch, the blue-haired girl tickles him from above, and the protagonist is dying of laughter. Wait a moment. Hakari knows it's the perfect opportunity to touch him, but Shizuka only does it with her finger. I'm sure the protagonist likes her because she comes off as shy. She puts on a sweet face with a high-pitched and charming voice, perfect for tricking Rentaro. Shizuka is honest and delicate. It's like a little puppy that makes you want to protect it. She's a worthy opponent in her fight for Rentaro's love, even stronger than Karani, who's already fed up. The tickling ends, and the protagonist has to go to the bathroom. A moment when Karani asks him what's wrong. Why is she acting like that? Does she know she's holding back? Shizuka refuses, but it's obvious that she's the only one moving away from Rentaro. For sure, she wanted to tickle him, but she only touched him with a finger. She asks, "Why are you doing that?" And Hakari responds that it's probably because she scares him, but that's impossible. She never screams. Shizuka says it's because both of them were the main character's girlfriends before her, and they don't like each other. But now she is also Rentaro's girlfriend, so she shouldn't hold back. Inda hates that she does that, never says what she really feels. That's exactly what she does, but they're not talking about her at that moment. The librarian admits she's right and apologizes. Karen gives her a hug and Shizuka continues. He's actually scared, but not of Karane. She tells Hanazono that she's a very graceful and elegant girl, just like Inda, who is very confident in herself, and she wonders how she could be like them. If Rentaro compares them, that's her biggest fear. Her words touch both of their hearts, and they find her super adorable. But she's just a simple girl who almost seems like a child. The difference between them is huge, but Karani says she's cute and delicate. Very good qualities for a girl, and she apologizes for yelling at her like that. Hanazono also tells her to calm down. Inda tends to have a pretty strong personality, and Rentaro has enough love for all of them. Surely there are many things he likes about them. Shizuka is going to talk to them, but Inda tells her not to hold back. If she wants to say something to Rentaro, she just has to do it. And Hanazono asks her to call them by their names. They are all the protagonist's girlfriends, so Shizuka, Hakari, and Karane become closer. The protagonist was watching all this. While they were tickling each other, he saw that Karane looked, but he didn't want her to hide her thoughts. He set up this game so they could get along better, and if they're afraid of what each other might think, they'll never be friends. So he stepped back, and then Hakari intervened so they could vent, since Karane wasn't angry, and they all understood each other better. He's very proud of them. And when he returns, Karane tells him they need to repeat the last punishment, since what Shizuka did doesn't even count as tickling. They all agree, and the blue-haired girl acknowledges that they're trying to help her. She should be grateful for their efforts, so she'll say what she really feels. She tells Rentaro she wants him to kiss her, which leaves everyone shocked. She said she wanted to wait until marriage, but that was a lie. Deep down, she desires his kiss, so she closes her eyes. The protagonist approaches her and touches her head. Shizuka adjusts her hand, and they share a kiss, leaving her very red. Hakari and Karani are watching the whole thing, and the pink-haired girl tells her she should follow her own advice and also say what she feels. Hakari approaches the protagonist and tells him she also wants a kiss. Rentaro understands, but first asks if she still loves him, even though Shizuka is there. Of course she does. All three are his girlfriends, and he loves them equally. Hakari closes her eyes, and they share a kiss. Now it's Karani's turn, but if he's so eager to kiss her, she'll give him that pleasure. The protagonist approaches her, hugs her, and tells her she's very pretty. Karani pushes him away, very red and embarrassed, and starts playfully hitting him a bit hard. But still, she wants to kiss him. Karani wants to as well, so they share a kiss. All three are delighted, and our protagonist looks up at the sky. He feels very lucky to have such amazing girlfriends and thanks them all, who respond in very different ways, making everyone laugh. The exam results have been published, and the three girlfriends are waiting for Rentaro to check their scores. He left his phone in the classroom and has to go get it because it contains all the memories he made with them. It's very romantic. When he goes, he finds his phone and a girl who was studying alone. He tells her that the results have been published and she should go check them out, although it would be pointless. He doesn't want to waste time because he knows he's in first place. When they look into each other's eyes, they both feel a spark all over their bodies. Rentaro has found a new soulmate, Nano, and Ayai. The protagonist tells her that they could go check the results together, but she declines, preferring to keep studying. Meanwhile, all the girlfriends show their grade. They outperformed Rentaro, even Karane, who beat him by just one spot, and Rentaro is very proud of them. Nano scored perfectly. Rumors say she is AI-like. All possible points, he asks his girlfriends if they know anything about her, and they only know that they see her in class, but there are rumors that she has such precision and efficiency that she seems like an artificial intelligence. I hope it's just a myth and not a virtual girlfriend. If you give me money, I'll give you attention. Then in biology class, he has lab time with Nano. The protagonist is going to get a microscope while the three girlfriends try to memorize the periodic table. Unlike them, Nano looks much more elegant and refined, and when she sees what Ejai is doing, she's copying the drawing from the book because it's much easier than using a microscope. Rentaro insists on using it for the activity, but Nano replies, "It's very inefficient to do an activity that scientists have already documented in book. A total waste of time." The teacher is watching them, so he has no choice but to pretend he's doing something because he hasn't even put anything in the microscope. But for that, there's the book. Rentaro feels uneasy around Nano, who seems robotic. She cuts her finger, and Nano offers to help by sucking on it, saying saliva is antibacterial. Rentaro is embarrassed but thankful, offering to buy her a soda, which she declines. Nano finds socializing unproductive, while Rentaro believes fun is meaningful. As she leaves, he wonders if she's his soulmate. At home, AI is distracted, thinking about her actions and feelings towards Rentaro. She says that saliva is antibacterial, and he doesn't need to go to the nurse for such a small cut. She uses her tongue to heal it, and Rentaro is really embarrassed. He feels like he's in a dream and can barely move. Meanwhile, the girlfriends have no idea what's going on. When class ends, Rentaro approaches Nano and thanks her for healing him, but she says it was nothing. She just tried to be efficient. Still, it was very helpful, and to thank her, he tries to buy her a soda, an infallible tactic to flirt, but Nano refuses. She doesn't like sodas. The protagonist doesn't give up. He just wants to get to know her better. Nano isn't interested, and he doesn't know what to do anymore. They could have fun chatting for a while. It's something productive like breaks and vacations, but she has never done anything like that. She thinks it's a waste of her time. Besides, fun doesn't improve her grade. It doesn't bring any value. It's useless. Rentaro tells her that grades aren't everything in life, but if something doesn't improve your future, it really doesn't make sense. She's wrong. Fun gives life meaning, but for her, as long as you can't quantify how much value fun can give you, it's simply useless, and she leaves. The protagonist is left wondering if Nano is really his soulmate. When he gets home, AI does her homework, but stops because she can't concentrate. She keeps thinking about Rentaro and wonders why she sucked on his finger. She could have gotten infected, and yet she did it. What is this new feeling? She really can't allow this. What this new feeling? She really can't allow this. And to refocus, she writes the digits of pi until she relaxes again. But It's not enough. She writes more and more numbers and realizes how much time she has been wasting. He has no other option. The next day, she talks to Rentaro in the classroom. She tells him that she likes him, and if they could start a relationship. The protagonist says that he likes her too and wants to go out with her, but Nan doesn't reject him. What she really wanted was for Rentaro to reject her, and since he didn't, she told him no. What she wants is to end this romance before it even starts. They both feel the same way, but all of this will just lead to them getting married and having kids. And honestly, she doesn't want any of that. It's a waste of time, and that's why I would never go out with him. She's about to leave, but Rentaro tells her to wait. He has already been rejected 100 times before, and it won't be enough to end the love he feels for her. Actually, she doesn't care. But if the protagonist is in love, he won't be able to end his relationship. Nano can only think that Rentaro feels the same way she does, and our protagonist asks her out on a date. If he doesn't convince her, he'll end this and leave her alone. So a few days later, the protagonist is ready. It's really their first date, and when Nano arrives, she looks very happy because she's dressed casually. They go together to the amusement park, and the first ride they get on is the carousel. What's the point of going around in circles without getting anywhere? But Rentaro has an instant camera, and Nano thinks it's useless because you can only take one photo without backups or anything. It's pretty inefficient. Still, Rentaro takes a picture of her, and when he hands it to her, she doesn't seem excited. Then they go to the haunted house, and Nano knows that ghosts don't exist. It's scientifically proven. Suddenly a zombie scares our protagonist, but he knows it's a human. They're all humans, and most of them are college students. She doesn't understand why he's so scared. Even the rabbit is a human. So when they come out, Nano is dissatisfied. Now it's time for the spinning teacups, and this time she finds no sense in it at all. People line up to get on a ride that numbs your brain while spinning you around. They go to the maze, and she tries to look from above, getting annoyed because there are too many paths. It would be easier to just make one path and be done with it. Finally, they go to the Ferris wheel, where she feels uneasy. It's normal to be afraid of heights because your life is at risk. She asks Rentaro to sit next to her and grabs his coat. Rentaro understands and tries to hold her hand, which she doesn't refuse. Then they sit next to a fountain to look at the photos, where the protagonist notices that Nano looks happier and is having fun. She's surprised because she's not usually very expressive to what she thought. She says it was fun but had no value. It was a useless day. The protagonist appreciates her honesty, and since it was a wasted day, he takes all the photos, pulls out a lighter, and is about to burn them. Nano watches him, knowing they're unique and that there's no backup, so she can't let him destroy them. She doesn't even know why he did it. Rentaro explains that she was afraid of losing something she didn't have before. Today, she gained something new, something she can't define or quantify, a feeling that might not mean anything in the future, but still, she doesn't want to lose it. Nano sheds tears of emotion. She can't explain it. Understanding, Rentaro just wants her to realize that these happy moments are what truly give life meaning. The protagonist lends her his handkerchief, and when she calms down, she promises to disinfect it and return it to him. Tells him she likes him and wants to start a relationship with him and do things she never thought about before. Rentaro reciprocates her feeling, and Nano pulls him by the arm to give. It would be much easier if she just fulfilled her desires without bothering him, and for the protagonist, that's fine. The next day, he introduces Nano to his girlfriend, and they don't even seem surprised anymore. The only thing that matters is that the protagonist has to meet all of them. What really bothers them is that they couldn't attend the date with him, so it would be a good idea for everyone to go out together that weekend. They should all go out together that weekend. Rentaro asks for suggestions, and Hakari has already planned it, so she suggests they all go to the pool together. Karani goes to a store looking for a swimsuit. She's been to the pool before with other girls, and honestly, she's not one to wear cute bikinis, and she makes that clear to the store clerk. She finds a very nice white one and thinks it won't look good on her, and she's about to leave it, but maybe Rentaro would like it. The day has arrived, and everyone gathers at the pool, each wearing a completely bannable swimsuit. The protagonist can die in peace after what his eyes have just seen, and he finds himself semi-conscious when he hears Shizuka's apologies, who is very embarrassed for wearing the school swimsuit and not contributing to the plot of this chapter. But Rentaro tells her that she is the only one with enough purity to wear the school swimsuit here. What makes her the most special girl in the place? He gives her a little affection and realizes that Karani is missing. She's covered with a towel. Rentaro thinks she has nothing on underneath, but that's not the case. She's just a bit cold, so she tells them to go have fun without her. The protagonist tells her they can leave if she doesn't feel well, but she doesn't want to worry anyone. Nano suggests she go sunbathe on the benches nearby, but Karani doesn't want anyone to pity her. Honestly, Nano isn't interested. She just wants to be efficient. She doesn't even know her. Inda gets offended and tries to kick her, but fails, and Shizuka offers to accompany her. She actually doesn't even know how to swim, but Karani tells her to go with the others and walks away. When they enter the pool, Shizuka is spinning around. With her phone in a plastic case, she doesn't even know. Because of what she does, Nano realizes there's a current and thinks it's some kind of survival exercise, so she swims against the current. Hakari takes the opportunity to get close to the main guy, using the water's force as an excuse, when in reality, she's doing it completely on purpose, making Rentaro turn very red. Nano thinks this is very inefficient, so she grabs his hand and makes him touch the World Cup just to show off her feminine appeal in the most effective way. Hakari won't be left behind, so she shows that the Champions Trophy is better, even though the World Cup is more important. But Champions is the champion, and they fight to prove which one of them is better for Rentaro. When they ask him, the main guy is floating and can't stop bleeding from his nose. He still has a pulse, but they need to save him quickly. They have to give him mouth to mouth. Hakari tries with a passionate kiss, but Nano pushes her away with a hip check and tries to revive him. Hanason realizes it's a competition and uses the World Cup to push her out of the way, and tries again without success. Meanwhile, Shizuka keeps swimming around non-stop. She's drifted away from the others and doesn't even know where she is anymore. She tries to swim to the edge, but can't. She's doomed to be swept away by the current. She calls for help, but no one pays attention, and she crashes into the edge of the pool, which breaks her float. Luckily, she can get out of the pool, but now she finds herself trapped on the floating island in the middle. Nano and Hakari are worried because Rentaro hasn't woken up. Neither knows how to revive him, and it would be better to ask for help. They need to find a lifeguard, a male lifeguard, so he doesn't kiss another girl, obviously. They rush off, but suddenly, some guys stop them to have fun with them, but they don't have time. Hakari runs off on her own, and the guy can't stop staring at her chest. Her arms also look very soft, and they say that a girl's arms feel just like their plot, and grabbing her by the arm isn't illegal, right? Once, he took his hand out when he was driving at high speed just because he was told it felt just like petting a jellyfish. He's a creep, but he only has one goal, a mission to fulfill. He's going to grab her by the arm, but Nano stops him in his tracks. The guy doesn't back down, and since she took his hand, he's going to catch the jellyfish. But Nano responds by digging her fingers into his eyes. Her classmates won't just stand by watching what's happening. Even if she's a girl, they're ready to fight. Nano and Hakari are in trouble. Shizuka is trapped on an island. Rentaro is stiffer than a corpse, and Hakari doesn't care at all. Nano runs out of options and agrees to stay with the guys so that Hakari can go get help. It's the best solution, but why does it have to be her? He had already saved her once. Rentaro be very worried, and the answer is obvious. Hakari has been Rentaro's girlfriend longer than she has, so it's clear she has a preference. So Hakari tells them that none of them will go with them. She knows they've only been dating for a short time, so she doesn't know Rentaro well enough or how he thinks. The guys aren't interested and are about to touch her, but at that moment, the main guy shows up to defend them. He keeps talking even though he literally has a hand in his face. The guy steps back and tells him not to get involved, saying that girl blinded his friend, but it was because he tried to grab her by the arm. The main guy understands, and to make up for it, they can have fun with him as much as they want. Why would they want to have fun with a man? Alright, just take your girlfriend and go, but both of them are his girlfriends. The guy doesn't believe him and says that to prove it, he has to kiss both of them. Rentaro isn't here to entertain him, but Nano grabs his face and kisses him. Similarly, Hakari kisses him too, confirming that both are his girlfriends. The guys run away because they don't want to deal with that kind of women, and it's better for them to back off before something bad happens to them. By the way, the main guy was half dead, that's true. Kareni helped him. She was sitting there watching things and saw that Nano and Hakari needed help. Not seeing Rentaro, she ran to find him and found him lying on the ground. And saw that Nano and Hakari needed help. Not seeing Rentaro, she ran to find him and found him lying on the ground. She tried to wake him up, and when she said that his other two girlfriends needed help, he immediately woke up and ran out to look for them. Basically, Harane brought him back to life. Rentaro thanks Nano for rescuing Hakari, but tells him that he shouldn't take such risks. Rentaro thanks her. Karane worries about Shizuka, who can't swim. Rentaro finds her after she shouts. He apologizes, carries her out, and she kisses him to join the others. Rentaro reassures Karane about her body, saying she looks beautiful. She doesn't know how to swim, and the main guy runs out to look for her. She was just trying to get rescued, but no one was paying attention. Her phone battery died, and she's about to cry. Suddenly, she hears Rentaro calling her, but he can't see her. She can't use her phone anymore, so she has to use her own voice. She doesn't think he can hear her, but she'll try anyway. She gathers her courage and lets out a little shout that goes straight to Rentaro's ears, who finally finds her. He apologizes for leaving her alone, picks her up in his arms to carry her out of the pool, and Shizuka leans in to give him a kiss in front of everyone, which embarrasses her a lot lot. They reunite with the other girlfriends, and after all the commotion, she'll take a little break. Since Karani is cold, he'll keep her company for a while. He talks to her and mentions that she can't stop looking at Nano and Hakari's bodies. She's been comparing herself to them, and that's why she doesn't want to show her bikini. She says she's just cold, but that's a lie because she's drinking a really cold soda. Rentaro explains that their bodies aren't normal for their age. Both she and Shizuka are still developing. Karani says she's very unattractive, and the main guy tells her to get up. He takes off her cover-up, and while Karani hits him repeatedly, she can't look away. She looks beautiful. He gives her a hug so she can feel his heartbeat, and Karani realizes that his is beating faster. It's not about being better or worse. They are all unique and wonderful. He asks her if she's still cold, and before going back to the others, he looks around and gives her a kiss. His is beating faster. It's not about being better or worse. They are all unique and wonderful. He asks her if she's still cold, and before going back to the others, he looks around and gives her a kiss. When they reunite with the others, Karani has warmed up, and Hakari tells her she looks really cute in that bikini. The others think the same, and now they will really start the date at the pool. Dive with Hakari. He goes down the slides with Karane. He gets on a float with Shizuka and has a soda with Nano. It's a fantastic afternoon. The girlfriends urge Rentaro to hurry because they want to go eat special pancakes for couples, but on the way, he locks eyes with a scientist who is one of his new soulmates. The next day, Rentaro approaches the lab to look for the redhead, but when he enters, he only finds a little girl in a lab coat. She introduces herself as Kusuri, and Rentaro feels a bit disappointed because he was expecting to see the girl from yesterday. Kusuri offers him something to drink, a green liquid in a beaker, which is the new medicine she's been developing. But Rentaro doesn't want to join her club. He explains that he was just looking for someone. Kusuri insists that he let her continue with her experiment. When Rentaro drinks it, she shows him a medicine she's been working on. It's a potion that turns you into a magnet because it will attract any metal to your body if you drink it. Kusuri tells him to take it because it's important to test medicines to know their effects, you know, like cocaine, Coca-Cola. Rentaro asks her if she has tried Coca-Cola, and Kusuri says no, but she could give it a try for the sake of science. Then he makes her take the medicine, and we see that it actually works. But I forgot to mention that the side effect is that she will have stomach problems for the next 3 days. I should have told her that from the start. Now she will take a medicine that has the opposite effect, which means she won't be able to get away from him. You know, opposites attract. She starts hugging him, and Rentaro can't handle how adorable she is. Kusuri tells him that under no circumstances should he lie face down, and the redhead can't get away from him because the attraction is stronger than I expected. But since it only lasts 10 minutes, there won't be a problem. If it weren't for the fact that he's been holding in the urge to go to the bathroom for a long time, Rentaro tries to get her off because they can't go to the bathroom together. That won't be necessary because Kusuri always wears a diaper, and since he can't hold it in anymore, he just lets it out. Rentaro is embarrassed. The redhead loves her medicines. The protagonist is confused by his feelings. Kusuri suggests his feelings are due to the love potion. She fell in love at first sight, wanting them to be a couple. Rentaro rushes to vomit. Kusuri feels disrespected. Kusuri cries, thinking he doesn't want her. Rentaro explains he doesn't want substances affecting his feelings. He glitches and rolls, rejecting the potion. Kusuri tries to give him an antidote. Rentaro recovers, and the redhead is sad. Kusuri is still adorable to him, and they are both embarrassed. Rentaro's body rejected the potion because he already liked her. Rentaro can't reject Kusuri under her medicine's influence. He rushes to vomit it out, which Kusuri finds disrespectful. Kusuri wonders if he loves her since she didn't mess up the formula. Rentaro explains he doesn't want substances affecting his feelings. Suddenly he glitches, his body rejects the substance. Kusuri tries an antidote, but he can't. He didn't get the formula wrong, so he shouldn't be able to reject it. Kusuri starts crying because she thinks he doesn't love her. But Rentaro explains to her that this isn't the case. She doesn't want to be under the effect of any substance in order to accept her feelings. Out of nowhere, she starts to glitch and spins around on the ground. Her body is rejecting the substance, so Kusuri tries to give her an antidote, but the main character can't drink it. The only solution she finds is to take the medicine and give it to him directly in the mouth. Rentaro recovers, and the redhead is sad because the effect of her medicine disappeared. It's weird because for the main character, Kusuri is still very adorable, and they are both embarrassed. The only explanation is that the main character's body rejected the medicine because he already liked her, which caused an overdose of love. She kneels down and asks him to go out with her. Kusuri, very much in love and would do anything for him. Rentaro tells her it's not necessary But at that moment, the little girl starts to grow, resulting in the girl he had fallen in love with. The new Kusuri explains that she must have drunk some of the antidote she gave him, returning her to her natural form, as it neutralized the effect of her failed immortality potion, which makes her look small most of the time. In reality, she's a third-year student and the president of the chemistry club. Rintaro is surprised because he is older than her, and for Kusuri, it is easier to be small for her experiments. Her larger form has longer and worse hair. She needs to wear glasses, so the protagonist agrees to go out with her, and Kusuri hugs him with her new personality. But she remembers that she needs to change her diaper later. On the rooftop, she introduces her new Pokemon to the other girlfriends, and they all agree that having more than one girlfriend is very efficient. Kareni asks her to tell them a bit more about herself, and she mentions that she loves Coca-Cola, which doesn't inspire much confidence to say the least. She also tells them that she's actually a third-year student and brought medicines for everyone as a gift. For Karani, one for breast enhancement, which offends her a bit, but she brought several to choose from. She has breasts, buttocks, hips, and when she asks who told her she needed those things, well, Rentaro, Karain puts him in a lock. But Rentaro told her she was beautiful, so Karani can only apologize endlessly. For Hakari, she brought a sensuality potion, and to seduce Rentaro, she would do anything. That could be you if you subscribe. Hakari thinks about everything she could do with her new form, so she takes the potion, but the first thing that happens is that she starts to sweat, and her clothes begin to melt. It's the effect of the potion that makes her sweat dissolve her clothes, making her look much more sensual. The protagonist covers his eyes and gives her his gym clothes to cover up, and when she puts them on, she can smell Rentaro. She's afraid that this outfit will disappear too, but the medicine only takes effect once. For Shizuka, she brought a bunny fantasy potion that makes her grow 2 rabbit ears. Rentaro melts just by looking at her, and when he touches her, Shizuka realizes they are way too sensitive. Rentaro strokes her and Shizuka feels like she's in paradise. Nano brought a hair control medicine which allows her to control her hair. I think it's understood she uses it to remove a lint from his face and then leans in to give him a kiss. It's a very effective medicine, and Kusuri brought several bottles, but starting from the second one, she could end up bald. Nano says it would be more efficient to be bald. She wouldn't have to wash her hair, and the protagonist would still love her if she were. But she also really likes her hair, so it's better not to. Then everyone gathers for a picnic, and Karani can't help but ask how she would look if she had taken any of her potions. When Kusuri shows her a picture, she could have had fabulous pecs. The redhead says she loves potions, but what she loves most is her research. She wants to join a group to create all kinds of miraculous medicine. At that moment, she feels the urge to go to the bathroom and prefers to just use her diaper, but they tell her it's better to go to the bathroom right away. She mentions that there are tea setups for boys and girls, and when she asks how she would go in her diaper, she says it's easy to tell which is which. Everyone thinks the bigger one is for women because they are more like that, so they serve the tea and eat. When Kusuri returns, the redhead realizes they served the tea incorrectly. The big one was supposed to be for men, and the small one for girls, and she tells them to spit it out quickly because the tea for Rentaro contains a medicine that will give him an uncontrollable urge to kiss. She did it so Rentaro would kiss her. What happened before doesn't count, but Rentaro says he doesn't need any drugs for that. Kusuri approaches him to give him a kiss, but at that moment, Karani stops her. The rest of the semi-possessed girlfriends get rid of the redhead and chase after him. This brings back bad memories for Kusuri, who tells Rentaro to run for his life. All of this it's due to the side effects. Since the potion can't be used on women, they enjoy kisses differently than men do. We see it as a purely carnal act, but they believe in love, fantasy, and feelings. And when you combine both, you can end up making them possessed with a single goal. They become kiss zombies. If they catch you, they would never stop kissing you. All of this means they have little time to give them the antidote. They have, at most, until they say it completely, which is about an hour. The girlfriends launch themselves at our protagonist, and along with Kusuri, he has to cure them. This is no longer just a love story. It feels more like a zombie apocalypse as the girlfriends chase after him, and Kusuri saves him from being caught. Shizuka falls flat on her face, and the redhead, along with our protagonist, locks the girlfriends on the rooftop. Kusuri needs to go to the lab to prepare the antidote, so they have to distract them until they can cure their uncontrollable urge to kiss him. They go down the stairs and keep running, but the girlfriends manage to intercept them. Kusuri searches his pockets for something to distract them and finds a medicine that melts your face. Obviously, they can't use it, so they'll take another route. The brides are pretty fast, all of them except Shizuka. She needs a little help. They're even faster after taking the medicine. But suddenly, the vice principal arrives because they're running in the hallway. She's about to kiss Rentaro, but Kusuri gets scared and sprays her with the medicine. Her face starts to melt, and both of them are worried about her. but it seems that all the makeup she used on her face neutralized the effect of the potion. Even so, she still looks just as ugly, and to avoid being seen, she runs away. Rentaro and Kusuri keep running, while the brides on the other hand organize themselves to catch them more efficiently. Only Shizuka is after them, and her plan is to intercept them all together. Rentaro comes up with the idea to split up because they only want to kiss him, so Kusuri will go to the lab while Rentaro distracts them. Shizuka is running after him, but the main character knows that even though he has unleashed all his potential, he still relies on his physical abilities, and she won't be able to catch up to him that easily. But Shizuka falls flat on her face, and Rentaro steps back to help her, carrying her to the nurse's office, where there's no one around. Still, he puts a band-aid on her forehead and heals her, but the blue-haired girl lifts him up and corners him on the bed. I had forgotten that she was a zombie. She sits on him and kisses him one after another. Rentaro can't go on. He can think clearly, but he remembers the real Shizuka, and he has to bring her back to normal. He uses a clothes hanger to hold her and tells her to wait until he can heal her. He keeps running, but he runs into Hakari and Karane. Even though they can't communicate well, they use the power of physics to throw Hanazono and catch Rentaro. They both kiss him in turns. They share him while he protests. It's cloudy, but they start fighting over him. They act just like always, even being zombies, and Rentaro comes up with an idea. When the two are very close, the main character brings them together for a kiss, and since they're under the influence of the medicine, neither of them can hold back. It's just like when the three of them kiss together. Since the two are boyfriend's companions, they ended up falling for each other. And it's getting interesting, but Rentaro remembers that he needs to get the antidote. When he arrives at the lab, he opens the door and finds Nano. She immediately closes it and has nowhere to run. Nano goes out to look for him and Rentaro. She had hidden in the locker next to the lab. At least Kusuri can get into the chemistry room, and making the antidote while she looks for it is his last hope. But the redhead was right next to him. When he asks her what she's doing here, it turns out that Nano was already in the lab when he arrived, and to avoid being caught, Kusuri hid in that same locker. Nano should be looking for the main character to kiss him, but she knows they're both working together, which is why she was surrounding them. Even though she's a zombie, Nano is still very smart. Kusuri comes up with the idea to create a distraction so she can get out, but knowing Nano, she would be suspicious since she ran out of her hiding spot for no reason. She would come over to check and end up finding her. They rented, he can't think of a plan, and time is running out. The little girl feels sad. She always causes problems for everyone because of her medicine. That's how he lost the members of the chemistry club, and now he's ruining it too. She loves him so much that she doesn't want to cause him any problems, and decides that she'll never create another medicine again. But while she cries, she remembers that she always carries a neutralizer for these kinds of situations. Now they don't need 4 doses anymore. They'll use the one they have with Nano, and then they should only make 3 more. But Kusuri drinks the antidote, which surprises Rentaro, causing Kusuri to drop it and break it. When she asks him what he's doing, Rentaro says he thought he would give the antidote to Nano, and the little girl hadn't thought of that. Her plan was to grow so that Nano wouldn't recognize her in that form. The main character is very red, and they are both very close. But since she spilled the medicine, they only have a little time, and she could transform while making the antidote, making Nano suspicious. Kusuri finds a rope in the locker and thinks of tying it up. The main character doesn't have much faith in her, but they need to hurry. Kusuri goes out and heads to the lab. Luckily, Nano doesn't recognize her. The redhead is about to tie her up, but Nano gets suspicious, and when she tries to justify herself, her way of speaking is unmistakable. So Nano uses her own rope to catch her. Rentaro runs out of options, so he takes off running to get Nano to chase him. And since the zombies have surpassed their limits thanks to the potion, our main character will break his own limits to save them all. He hides behind the door, completely exhausted. Nano finds him and tries to open the door, but the main character is too tired to do anything. The girlfriend rips off the handle, and Rentaro's fate is already sealed. Nano corners him, gets closer and gives him a kiss, a few kisses, and it seems like this is where the anime ends. But Kusuri managed to make the antidote and sit to Nano, making the effect wear off. Rentaro is happy that she managed to do it, and it was the only thing he could think of. Buy some time until the effect of her potion wore off and she became small again. Kusuri hadn't thought of that, and now they will have to give the antidote to the others. In the infirmary, the 4 girlfriends wake up and apologize for what they did. When it's Hakari's turn, she goes to apologize but remembers that she was kissing Karane. So she says she doesn't remember anything that happened. She asks Karane, and Karane plays along. The main character is very proud that they now share their secrets too, but Kusuri is very sad. She apologizes to everyone for everything that happened, and Rentaro tries to comfort her. Even though she was the one who turned them into zombies, she also put herself at risk just to heal them. Our main character tells her that any disaster caused by her medicines they can all solve together, and she shouldn't give up on her research. What he really likes about her is the passion she puts into each of her potions. That dedication is what made her fall in love. The girlfriends are happy because their partner is acting like a true alpha male, and Kusuri can't hold back her tears. She tells him that she really likes medicines, but she likes him much more than anything else. And she gives him a kiss. In front of the darkness of a mansion, Hakari talks to her mother, who gives her news that doesn't seem to please her. The next day, Rentaro and his girlfriends went to the Lobisono flower park. It was Hakari's idea, and she wants to tell Rentaro something, but it's about to start. The monthly bouquet toss, one of the main attractions of the park, because whoever catches it will get to take a photo with their boyfriend, dressed as if they were getting married, completely free. All the girlfriends are excited, and Hakari even more so, because it's been her dream since she was little. A lot of people are gathered, and even a group of guys straight out of JoJo's Adventure, led by the gorilla mother, that tells everyone to catch the bouquet to take a photo with their little boyfriend. Seeing this, Hakari suggests that they work as a team to catch the bouquet, and then they'll draw lots to see who will take the photo with Rentaro. Since she's a bit small, Shizuka will only be able to cheer along with the crowd, and Kusuri takes an antidote to be ready. Since the gorillas have their own flags, Rentaro comes up with the idea of making one with the towel he had, and his group will be called the Rentaro family. The ceremony is about to begin and everyone is ready. The one in charge of throwing the bouquet will be the deputy director. And since the old lady is good at all sports, she throws it really high. The group of the gorillas has a strategy of throwing their own members to get rid of the competition. And one of them is about to collide with Hakari, but Karani arrives to the rescue. She joins the gorilla group to fight against them. Meanwhile, the rest of the girlfriends go for the bouquet. At that moment, the gorillas wave their flags, creating a hurricane to grab the bouquet, but that wasn't the only thing that went flying. Since Shizuka was next to them, she now uses the towel as a parachute. Since she's so close to the bouquet, she grabs it with both hands and now she can't fly anymore. The girlfriends try to catch it using their meat pillows, and even though they manage to slow its fall, Rentaro dives in to save her just in time. Karain makes friends with the gorilla, since thanks to their fight, she didn't have to try to catch Shizuka, saved herself from a somewhat embarrassing scene. Now it's time for the drawing to see who will take the photo, and Hakari had already anticipated it. I knew that at some point I would have to decide, and I brought some chopsticks to determine who would have the luck. Although since she wants to win, she marked the winning chopstick and her plan worked. She will take the photo with Rentaro, but Kusuri, the new girlfriend, starts to cry. She really wanted to take that photo, and Hakari understands that it's her chance to bond with our protagonist. She is going to give up her chance to take a photo, and Kusuri is so happy that she hugs her. But after diving her head into eternal wisdom, she realizes that she prefers Hakari to take the photo. Still, the pink-haired girl suggests that they all take the photo together, and she finally gets to fulfill her dream. Since she met him until that moment, every day has been the happiest of her life, and she just wants to ask him for a small favor. Does she want Rentaro to end relationship? Our protagonist explains to us what's going on, so he needs to talk to her. But when he looks for her, the person in charge of the photos tells him that she left a long time ago. The rest of the girlfriends ask where she is. Hakari isn't answering her phone either, and Rentaro remembers that the envelope in which Hakari sent him some photos had her address on it. When he arrives, he finds a huge mansion, and Hakari is at one of the windows. He tries to get her attention, but the girlfriend tells him to hide, as one of the guards is about to see him. Suddenly, his phone starts ringing. It's Hakari, using her home phone, and she tells him that they need to end their relationship because her mother has found out everything. He tries to explain to her that he loved them all equally, but she took his phone away. We'll be moving soon. They will even change her high school. Her mother would use all her money to get her way, and will never let them be together. Suddenly, her mother appears from behind and takes her away, telling Rentaro to forget about her daughter, or else she'll make him disappear. She hangs up, but Rentaro wants to keep talking, so he shouts, alerting the guard. The guy pulls him away from the gate, telling him that he can't do anything, because he's just a kid. Hakari apologizes to her mother and asks her not to do anything to Rentaro, please. She knows she can send him far away, but it will be the last time he disobeys her. Her mother gives her a hug, and all she wants is for her not to hang out with that womanizer who hurts her so much. Rentaro, feeling helpless because he can't do anything to save his girlfriend. He bangs his head against the wall and notices that there's a 4-leaf clover on the ground. He remembers everything they went through to get here, and at night he meets up with their girlfriend. He tells them everything that happened, and his plan is to infiltrate the Hanazono mansion and escape with Hakari. He doesn't know when they'll be back, so he asks them to wait for his return. Karani disagrees and offers to help rescue Hakari. They all think the same, and together they will go save her. After jumping over the fence of the house, they try to contact her, but she still doesn't have her phone, so to get her attention, Rentaro will use a rubber ball. When he throws it, a kitten's paws bounce off it, and it takes the ball away, so they have to chase after it. They make so much noise that they alert one of the guards, but the cat distracts the guy while they look for a way to get in since they don't have the ball. When they get to the door, they find the entrance that the cat uses. Even though no one can fit in there, Nano gathers some stones and manages to open the door. It was really simple, just had to calculate the position of the latch and the angle of the stones to open it easily. Rentaro realizes that he hurt his hand doing this, and Karani puts a band-aid on it. It wasn't necessary for him to do it, but in debt to Hakari because he defended her. At the pool, they finally manage to get in, but lurking in the shadows is a guard dog and Rentaro. Together with their girlfriends, they decide on a strategic retreat. The bad thing is that they forgot about Shizuka, and they can't go back in or say anything because the dog would make noise. Shizuka is about to cry and doesn't know what to do, but everyone is here to help Hakari, and she can only do one thing. She will sacrifice herself for the team. The dog approaches her and starts licking her face. It turns out, dogs by instinct always defend the weaker ones, even if they've invaded their territory. Shizuka is so weak that she confused her instincts. Still, they need to find a way to get rid of the dog, and Kusuri has a tranquilizer that can put any animal to sleep. He gives it to Shizuka and tells her to use it, but instead of giving it to the dog, she takes it herself and falls asleep. Now their only chance is ruined. If it weren't for the dog, when it licks her face, it ingests some of the medicine and also falls asleep. They give the antidote to Shizuka, and now they have to go through a long hallway. The cat appears again, and before they arrive, the guards hide behind the doors. The guards say that the entire hallway is filled with infrared sensors, and to be able to pass conveniently, Kusuri brought in an envelope some infrared vision drops, whose side effect is complete blindness. Everything that isn't infrared, meaning it can't see anything that's not normal. When Karani sees the envelope, Nano tells us that it was addressed to a research group in the United States. Everyone is making sacrifices to save Hakari, and Kusuri won't be left behind. The drops finally took effect, and it's impossible for them to cross that hallway. However, if we notice, there's a way to get through since the lamps are near the ceiling, and they can't put sensors up there. Since the hallway isn't too narrow, they need 2 people to cross it, and the only one strong enough is Rain. They tie her together with the main character using a rope so she won't get loose, and they need to be absolutely coordinated. Little by little, they start crossing the lasers, and Karani's shirt keeps lifting higher and higher. He can't see anything at all, and his partner is suffering because she's quite sensitive. They manage to cross without triggering the alarms, and now they have to go alone for Hakari. They arrive at their room, and when they open it, alarm goes off. They want to escape, but it's too late. They are completely surrounded. Hakari can do nothing but cry, fearing what her mother might do to Rentaro. The lady of the house introduces herself as Hajari and has been having quite a few problems these days because of her daughter's boyfriend. When he looks into her eyes, he thinks she has a special ability, but that's not the case. Rentaro and see her, and he only has one thing left to try. He asks Hajari to give her blessing to him and her daughter, but to the mother, they are nothing but empty promises. Hakari is her only daughter, and she had her when she was 13 years old. Do you know why she did it? Out of love at 13 years old. Her partner at that time got sick, and to have a memory of him, she underwent artificial insemination to become a mother. It was a very reckless act that unfortunately was also passed on to her daughter. She was the happiest mother to have her and take care of her, but inevitably her partner passed away. The decision had already been made, and the girl cannot fill the void left by her partner. Still, her daughter is not to blame, and so that she does not make the same mistakes, she is willing to protect her from any womanizer who crosses her path. Rentaro cries out of sadness, and it's understandable given the story of the mother and daughter. He doesn't plan for Hakari to regret anything, and little by little, with just a few her tears, the effect of the drops disappears. Rentaro sees Jajari for the first time and feels an electric current all over his body. Our protagonist found a new soul. Twin Jajari hadn't felt that way, 16 years since she lost her partner. And now that she has her back, she asks Rentaro to be her boyfriend. Jakari stays in her room while her mother and her boyfriend are falling in love. Kareni doesn't understand anything, but the lady of the house comes to her senses and tells our protagonist that she won't keep putting up with his lies. And for that, she has a super advanced lie detector, which will reveal if what he feels for his daughter is real. But to make sure no one thinks the machine is rigged, Karani will be the first to use it. And for the first question, Inda has to say what cup size she wears Hajari. She has a pretty dirty mind, but they need something that can be verified. After a few lies and many hits, we find out she wears a cup size almost B. Then, she asks if she really loves Rentaro, and Karani says yes, but the machine says it's a lie. The protagonist can't handle the weight of reality, and Karani remembers that the machine detects how close she is to the truth, which means saying that she loves him. It's not enough. The intensity keeps increasing until the machine is finally satisfied. And that was humiliating. Renaro sits on the detector and says that he also loves Karani a lot, and now it's time to find out if what he feels for Hakari is true. The anime tells us that in the manga it's longer. So, to sum it up even more, what was in the anime is true. Hakari can't believe that Rentaro loves and is faithful to 5 different girls, and he says that the result of a machine means nothing. At that moment, the maid arrives saying that Hakari is about to jump out the window. Karane takes advantage of the distraction to grab Hakari by the neck so that Rentaro can escape with Hakari. As for her, she will wait for his return. Forever. Rentaro is leaving, and Jajari has enough strength and motherly love to stand up to Karan. But she won't give up either, so her best friend can happy. Meanwhile, Jakari, on the edge of the cliff, hears Rentaro arriving, and she tells him that her life wouldn't make any sense without him. And even if they escape, they would have to be hiding forever from her mother. Rentaro reassures her, saying that as long as they're together, everything will be fine because he loves her and would do anything for her. His words calm her, and just as she's about to go in, she feels fear again. Her legs tremble, she loses her balance and slips, falling off the balcony. Rentaro, he immediately goes to her rescue and grabs her with one hand. Little by little, it's giving way and they're both going to fall. Hajari and Karani arrive in the room just in time to see Rentaro and Hakari fall straight to the ground. Our protagonist, with his immense desire to protect his girlfriend, manages to jump off the wall and veer towards the fountain, where the girls jump in to rescue them, except for Shizuka. She still doesn't know how to swim. Fortunately, they're both okay. And when Karan and Hajari finally see that they are okay, the orange-haired girl approaches and slaps Hakari. Both are crying, I don't know if it's from pain or fear. And Hajari tells Rentaro that if they hadn't fallen into the fountain, it would have been the end for both of them. There, he realizes that her words were always true and asks him to take care of her. Rentaro understands and also knows that despite all the problems they caused, it was just a mother's concern who never had a relationship because she was so focused on taking care of her daughter. So, that we're calmer, he tells her that they can all be happy together, and that's why she agrees, be his girlfriend. Now all the girlfriends are surprised because the protagonist ended up with both the mom and the daughter. And since it's already so late, he tells them they can stay and take a bath since they're already there. Everyone boasts about the number of arguments and popularity they add to the plot, but Kareni steps back for obvious reasons. She heads to Rentaro's room, where the protagonist feels embarrassed because he can see her belly button. Karen knows it's not a big deal, if it weren't for the fact that she just rubbed her face in it a little while ago. At that moment, the protagonist had no other choice, because if he hadn't done it, they would have fallen. But Kareni wants revenge. She sits on top of him and hugs his ab. Kusuri enters, and to avoid being discovered, they both exercise since all the girls have come out of the bathroom. It's time to get dressed, and Hajari has a closet full of clothes, with which she dresses her girlfriends really well. Rentaro can't handle how beautiful they look, but Shizuka and Kusuri are still missing, and they are just too adorable. Hajari gets really excited and needs a glass of water, Rentaro. He knows that his girlfriend's mother has been holding back for a while. He tells her that they can do a lot of fun things. Hajari can't hold back anymore and tells him to go to her room. Could it be that Rentaro finally becomes an adult? Will he finally become an adult? In Hajari's room, under the nightlight, only the sounds of the woman's moans can be heard. Rentaro is exhausted, but she keeps asking for more and more. Meanwhile, in the next room, the girlfriends are playing cards. Everything's cool. Rentaro is taking a little while, but must be normal. Unless her mother is doing something dirty with the main character. They all run to find him, and when they enter the room, they see Rentaro dressed as a girl and Hajari on the floor. This lady has some really strange fetishes. For all the girlfriends, it looks pretty good, Inda. But Rentaro can't handle the embarrassment, faints. None of the girlfriends know what to do, and then Hajari comes up with an idea. An idea comes to Nano to dress her up as a prince, and only the kiss of true love could awaken the beautiful sleeping beauty. Nano kisses her while all the girlfriends drool over Rentaro. Or is he so uncomfortable that he's going to take a bath? Jakar and his mother already know what to do. They ask for a rope, and obviously they're going to spy on what Yusuria is up to. She's excited because she wants to see his little guy too, and all the girlfriends agree. Except for Shizuka, who doesn't want to betray her trust. Hakari has no choice but to wrap her up like sushi, and she only calms down when they tell her they'll bring her a photo. Rentaro knows the girls are up to something, so he covers himself with a towel to take a shower. At the same time, Kusuri comes down with the rope to spy through the window. And when Rentaro sees her, he thinks she's a ghost, so the girls quickly lift her up. Shizuka is really scared because she thinks that if Rentaro is seen, he would be punished. And the girls too. In the end, she would be left alone. He has to roll to try to stop them since they can't see very well through the window. Hajari has an alternative route that goes through the attic. The girlfriends are crawling just to catch a glimpse of the precious little guy, but something goes by Kareni's legs. They could be rats, but it's the cat that no one knows how it got there. Even so, the screams scare Rentaro even more. Shizuka continues with her mission and has to muster the courage to go down the stairs. The dog just wants to pass by, but it scares her and makes her roll all the way to the bathroom where Rentaro is, and she falls into the jacuzzi. When she gets up, Rentaro thinks it's another spirit of the house, but it's just poor Shizuka who ended up all wet. The main guy approaches to help her, but the towel slips off, and Shizuka gets a glimpse of the powerful little guy. She faints from the excitement and gets a little more wet. When Rentaro goes to see the rest of his girlfriends, they all say they're playing with the cat, but Karani accidentally lets it slip that they were spying on him all night. The main guy gives them a lecture while Shizuka dreams of Little Elephant. The sleepover continues playing cards, but Hajari remembers something and leaves the room for a moment, and Rentaro follows her. When he sees her, she's praying at an altar, Rentaro. He asks who he is, and the mother tells him that he's the first man she ever loved, Hakari's father, and even though he's no longer with us, she can't stop loving him. It's not fair for her to keep loving someone else if she's going to have a relationship with Rentaro. The main guy understands, gives her a hug. She tells him that she shouldn't stop loving Hakari's father, since if it's true love that she feels, she can love them both without any problem, and he'll do the same for her. Hakari, now calmer, asks him to please give her a kiss since she's the bed of her dying husband. He told her to save her first kiss for someone who would be with her for a lifetime. Hakari tells him to forget it because it's nonsense, but just as she's about to leave, Rentaro grabs her by the arm and kisses her. After the night, Hakari gets up to lie down next to her new dad and just wants to sleep with him. For one night, she thought she would never see him again, and Rentaro gives her a kiss. He tells her that she can be calm and that he'll stay with her until dawn an hour later. Rentaro wakes up and sees Hakari sleeping next to Karane, and he takes the chance to go to the bathroom when suddenly he appears. Hakari's father, her biological dad, and stepdad are talking, and they have a lot of explaining to do. How could he stay with both the mother and the daughter? The ghost confesses that he's happy that someone as committed as Rentaro is taking care of Hakari. Rentaro tells her that they could take care of them together and thanks her for bringing Hakari into the world. At that moment, all the doubts and regrets of the ghost fade away. She fully trusts that Rentaro can take care of them. He reaches a state of infinite awareness. The main guy wakes up the next day thinking it was all a dream. Later, Rentaro and the girlfriend say goodbye to the Hanazono mansion because they have to go to school. It seems like the relationship between Hajari and the main guy is about to end if it weren't for the fact that Hajari is the new president of the student committee. Basically, she bought the whole school just see Rentaro, and when they announce it, the school, our main guy. He wasn't there because he had run home during lunch just to see her on the way back. This episode ends, but not before showing us the new girlfriends that are waiting for us in the next season.